Leo. It's Pisces season. So interesting and loving, maybe a little overbearing for some of you, which I don't think is a bad thing right now. I think that if it's raw and real, you might say something, but you never mind it. It's not ever like a bother to you. You appreciate and are appreciated for being someone who is loving and caring, and you like when people also show that to you. Ask you how you're doing, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter here or there. It's just when you can be acknowledged and be acknowledged. And right now, Pisces season is having you take a step back, having you maybe even learn about abundance in a different way, learning about what it means to fill your cup, to overflow, to give without thinking just external. I think for a long time that's what you thought. You've always kind of equated certain things to that. Don't get me wrong, there's so much heart, there's so much love, but there's a lot of it's an outward, it's an external thing, right? And at the same time, there's this internal knowing and understanding and this internal thing that doesn't really equate to what's external. And there could be Venus going from Capricorn to Aquarius, and then Mars also moving into Aquarius. And then we have all these placements in Pisces as well. There's something about you that feels like you need a drastic change, possibly. Some of you may feel like there is there's almost like this, two Aries signs, by the way. There's this knowing what you want and need and wanting them both. Not saying that you can't have it, because you can, but there's something being asked of you. There's this understanding that when you learn to observe the parts of yourself that where there's the ego, right? So it's in many different aspects in our lives, and it shows up. It's the human, right? So there's this, it's not even about like you, this just started to happen because of the placements, even like this disconcerting part of yourself that wants to be extremely in your life and present, but also wants to be the fool and just go do whatever you feel like doing and needs like some kind of independence. And it's about your ego and what your ego wants and needs, and there's nothing wrong with that. You need to feed the part of yourself that has that healthy ego in it, that healthy way of living, that wanting, that knowing, and being able to do the things that you want to do. And there's parts of you that might feel constricted. And what you're being asked to walk away from, which is all these Aquarius things, which is about not just about yourself for you and for the desire and being able to get it, but for how it's going to affect people around you as well, or, just the larger scheme of your life. So this Eight of Cups and Two of Swords, and then we have the Ace of Wands. So if you decide to just adjust and shift this way of thinking, or whatever it is that's holding you back from getting to that next understanding, or if it almost feels like you're banging your head against a wall, it may feel like that for a little while. But then what happens is that natural fight, maybe that Mars, that natural fight, because it's in your opposing you, and so is Venus. So quite like your values and what you're wanting as opposed to what's actually happening, and how to bring that together in your life, and understanding that you want more for yourself, but you can't do that, or you're unable to do that without somewhat surrendering to what is happening now. And Pisces season these placements can also bring us far out, even though it's kind of skewed right now. So it's not about you. It's just about how you're interplaying. This is probably the most like interesting reading this month so far. And I was waiting to do yours for a reason. But basically it's like it's your interaction with the stars this month and how you choose to go about it. This is really about choice, and that your life is in your hands. It's how you're perceiving it now, what it could look like in the future, but it's hazy, and it doesn't give you a straight out answer, and you like things direct. But when the sun is being clouded, or it's a little hazy in the sky, you can't really see the sun, but it's still beaming, and that's something that you need to understand this month. Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands, that you have just by how you're acting and how you're interacting with the world. That's what's really the most potent thing this month, and how you're bringing that back to yourself. Because the Fool and then Emperor coming out, also if there's Aries in your life, it could be just time to move on from that situation, or really think about how you feel without them necessarily in your life, maybe as close or whatever. There could be causing conflict. Also, this also could be just a struggle with like how your life looks right now, and you have other values, and it's kind of conflicting because you can't really do, or you may not be able to implement those things right now, or always feed those things, but it's because there's other parts that need to go stronger. This is about building a solid structure, especially if you have a family or you're wanting a family, but this is also just simply for your life. And it could feel like things aren't moving quickly, but that doesn't really matter, because the more concerning part, and the more you interact and play with, maybe fight with, have trouble with Pisces and Aquarius placements by the Virgo full moon, there's almost like relief that everyone gets. It's feeling like and like that coolness that comes with the it's the soil. If you've never put your feet in the earth, I know it can sound dirty to some people, but it actually feels really good and clean and cleansing. So, and it's like putting your feet, Pisces season, think about putting your feet in the sand and what that feels like. That's mutable earth, that's Virgo too. So maybe some of you need to go to the beach. Maybe you need to go alone. Even if you're with someone or have a lot of people in your life, as Leos do, maybe you just need to do something alone and have some alone time this month. And I think that's really now what it comes down to, is being able to have this independence, but also, and especially when you're making this decision if this is about a person in your life, to really move on, especially if they've been in your life for a long time, or this physical situation, and something new is beginning. And just know that it's taking, like, it's courage. You're taking a risk on yourself, and also being even more, like, just exposing. And that's okay. That there's, within the exposure, that there's hazy parts. It's the light that's shining, and it's hard to see anything else around you. And that's kind of where focus needs to be sometimes. And sometimes you need to take a step back. And that's actually what you're being asked to do in the beginning of the month, is to take a look, let what's in front of you be hazy, and take a look around you. Because as Virgos know, when you look too closely, which is a sign after you, sometimes when you look too closely or too detailed, it can become overly exhausting because it seems like there's so much to do. But when you take a step back and can see everything for what it is and just focus on those big areas, sometimes like Sagittarius knows, and Jupiter, Pisces, it's actually a lot healthier and easier. And this is like, you're resisting the path of least resistance right now because maybe you've never been there before. And now it's time to go there. Okay, Leo? The second part, where I look at the cards, will be on Patreon, which is in the link below, and all information to work with me one-on-one as well. And I'll see you next month.